Dr. Tony AIDOO is former Ghana's ambassador to the Netherlands. He's occupied several other positions, including at some point as Deputy Defense Minister. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. And this morning we are looking at the matter of ECOWAS. It's a discussion we've been having over the period. The Nigerian president, who has been rejected by his own Senate on the matter of deploying troops, still says all options are on the table. Here in Ghana, there are clear indications that we are ready to contribute troops, even though countries like Eved has decided that we will not be part of this. What do you make of this whole agenda of ECOWAS to sort of say we are reinstalling democracy in Niger?
There is a pretty kettle of fish that Tinubu and the ECOWAS leadership has created, isn't it? First of all, they throw down the gauntlet of invasion to restore democracy, and then their bluff is called by the junta in Niger, and the face-off between the coalition of the junta, Mali and Burkina Faso on one hand, and ECOWAS on the other. There are so many strategic factors that should be taken into account if this invasion is still on the table. First, there is the internal civil society and even legislative opposition to the decision to invade Niger. First seen in the opposition of northern senators and governors to Tinubu, and in Ghana, the voices of opposition raised by civil society, the minority group in parliament, and others. Now, what ECOWAS must take into account is that the history of invading other countries to restore so-called democracy has been characterized by failures all the way from Vietnam to Libya. Colonel Festus Abuaji provided a historical picture. The same thing was General Nuno Mensah, and I perfectly agree with them. Not only must the invader face local opposition, and that opposition has been demonstrated by the people of Niger and the allies of the Niger junta. So it's not going to be a case of short, sharp shock expedition. Russia invasion of Ukraine is a test case. It's not going to be a walk in the park. So they better think again. But then, when it comes to Ghana, our dilemma is to have a president who is a warmonger. In 2014, I mentioned his warmongering posture. You recall the Ivorian situation. While President Mills was urging diplomacy, Akufo-Addo was urging immediate mobilization of Ghanaian forces to invade Côte d'Ivoire. This is not a behavior of a responsible president. The patapart doesn't work everywhere. And we better watch it. Ghana cannot risk going into this adventurous expedition to restore democracy. And what democracy is it? A democracy that mobilizes natural resources for the benefit of the few to the detriment of the many? When Radio Gold was hosting Alaji and Alaji, all the way back to the 1990s, I used to observe that the Fourth Republic has not been to the benefit of the masses. All it has done is to recreate cycles of political elites who siphon off the benefits for themselves and create a situation of dependency on the part of the masses. And the masses follow them because we are emotionally attached to regime rather than to national interests. MPP in particular can always count on their account numerical superiority with the notion that they can even win a general election with 2 regions. And this is not to the benefit of the Fourth Republic. We have to watch out. We don't want the recurrence of the coup contagion that happened in the 1960s and 70s. It took West Africa and Africa a long time to recover. Unfortunately, the recovery has, as I said, has not been to the benefit of the mass of the population. What we have succeeded in doing is to establish parasitic political classes. So I'm done.
So far, there are 3 main actors that are seen when it comes to the matter of military deployment. There's Tinubu in Nigeria, whose election is being questioned. There's Alassane Ouattara, who questions are being raised about even his 3rd term. Then there's our own Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. I know. Do you see a link in terms of what might be forming the 3 working actively and agreeing on this matter?
They are a bundle of contradictions. There's a link between them. Bundle of contradictions, behavioral contradictions, ideational contradictions, policy contradictions. That's all. A warmonger, Akufo-Addo, an illegitimate Ouattara, and a questionable leadership of Tinubu. Behaving unconstitutionally is not just a matter of military coup d'etat. If you also act in a manner that does not serve the interest of the large population, that goes against the ethos or principles of the Constitution, you are equally at blame. And all these people have shown that they are acting not in the interest of the mass of the population that supports them. It endangers civilian governments because the orientations and actions of civilian governments will always be questionable so far as the electorate is concerned. And any military adventurer can take advantage of it and stage an overthrow. And that's what keeps happening.
What is the risk if they decide to go ahead with this?
A long-term, drawn-out fight. Like I said, it's not going to be a walk in the park. First of all, ECOWAS doesn't even have a standing army. There are pledges of a military strength that will not be more than 5,000 all told in terms of the battalion contributions of the ECOWAS members. And that 5,000 must even be minus the contributions of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. Then there is the logistic preparation. I listened to Colonel Festus Abwaji, and he said, on the average, it will take about 100 days to mobilize a sufficient invasion force. Then there is the local opposition, not only in military terms, but also in the mass society of the target country. Then there is the cost. The invading countries prepared to bear the cost. All these are strategic factors that should be taken into account.
So definitely, you see a costly venture ahead if we decide to go ahead.
ECOWAS will not go ahead, I believe.
They will not?
No, I don't think it would. I think it needs a face-saving situation. Tomorrow, I understand there is a meeting of the Joint Chiefs of Staffs. They will continue to carry the bluff, and Niger will continue to call the bluff. There will be a standoff, but I don't think ECOWAS is in a position to invade.
And I'm wondering what the lessons are, because you were just talking about the benefits of democracy to the people. Because whilst ECOWAS is planning to invade, to install democracy, the Nigerian has not a single Nigerian has held a protest to say we disagree with the military takeover. And it seems that Nigerians are not fighting for the democracy that ECOWAS wants to fight for. What are the lessons?
Because it's a meaningless democracy to the mass population. So the lessons are, it's about time we took a second look at the nature of the republics, civilian republics that have been established. Democracy finds expression not only in the ritualized 4 or 5 year cycle of elections. Elections which are sometimes manipulated. But in the delivery of welfare to the people, to the electorate, to members of the electorate must look beyond the propaganda, must look beyond their emotional attachment to political parties, weigh and assess the feasibility of promises that political parties make to them, learn from the history of failures that political parties have made, the electoral failures, promises that do not materialize, the building of castles in the sky. That is what the electorate must look out for and establish true democracy.
And then there's the matter of the demand being made by the minority. I just spoke to Honorable Samuel DANQUAH, who said they had a meeting with those in charge of national security, to the army, but what they are insisting on is that no decision can be taken as to Ghana's participation in any invasion without going to Parliament.
Yes.
Do you agree?
Well, I don't see any constitutional injunction on the president to consult Parliament before mobilization. But it's always a good course of action to seek the consensus of your local population when you're undertaking a military action. After all, it's not only moral support that you need. You are taking that action on the basis of the taxes that the electorate pays you. And Parliament is the representative of the electorate in decision making. So it's very important, it's pertinent on the president to get the national consensus. But, like I said, I do not believe that ECOWAS will carry out this bluff. The odds are too many, too high. The cost is too much for the ECOWAS countries to bear. If Nigeria wants to go on this sole adventure, let it go. It has a greater resources and military outlay to go and do it alone. Tinubu want to more or less establish his international political leadership. He is facing his first trial. as a leader of the most populous country in Africa and the current head of the regional organization, sub-regional organization, I must say, ECOWAS. His first test of leadership is this Niger situation. Let's see how he comes out of it. He was hasty in throwing down the gauntlet, in issuing ultimatums and so on. That is not a sign of a good leader.
So if what he's doing is to attempt to place Nigeria in the leadership role,
I've not been attempting to place it. It is in the leadership role. It has the headship of the ECOWAS community.
But the start is not impressive. You're not impressed with his very first decision.
No, I'm not. It's too risky.
What does he do? You said they are currently engaged in face saving. Does he? You all have made a sudden U-turn. How does he pull back from this?
They will stretch it out. Threats and counter threats till the thing die out, and the junta will remain.
As far as you see, the junta is going nowhere.
Oh, it's not going anywhere. Has the Malian junta gone anywhere? Burkina Faso, have they gone anywhere? With time, perhaps, they will wither away. And another set of corrupt politicians will inherit the mantle and mess up the country to another precondition and precipitant for a coup d'etat is established. Africa's calamity. And that calamity is the result of bad governorship, fascist orientations, without knowing the requirements of successful fascism. We are imitative people indulging in imitative knowledge, imitative practices. That's all we are good for.
So having said that, okay, one last issue on that matter is the long hand of what people suspect is the long hand of France and also the rest of the West in. Do you see that?
Obviously. Most of these countries, including even Ghana, are surrogates. We are still held to the apron strings of our former colonial masters. France never let go of its former colonies because the very essence of France is in the continuation of its new colonial control of the former colonies. You find a ridiculous situation of these African countries still paying financial tribute to France. The National Assembly, the place of meeting in Côte d'Ivoire, they still pay rent to the French government. How ridiculous. After all these years of independence. Hey! Maybe God created the black man to serve the white man. Otherwise, there can be no other answer.
Ghana's gold.
And in Nkrumah's, the black man is capable of looking after his own affairs. Fall down to pieces. What a shame.
And talking about Nkrumah, let's return to Ghana for a moment, because there's talk about the president. It started 5 years ago. He's still mooting that University of Ghana should be named after his grand uncle. Do the facts of history agree with him that J.B. DANQUAH played perhaps a much more prominent role in the establishment of UG than any other person?
Nana Akufo-Addo, this man has delusions of greatness. Delusions. he creates controversies where there is no need for. But perhaps there's logic to what appears to be the illogicality of his conduct. First, it may come as a natural behavior orientation of a person who is by nature, how shall I say, a sadistic conduct, to just go and ruffle the feathers. Or another logical explanation is an attempt to divert attention from the current scandals that his government is facing. Cecilia Dapa scandal, the kitchen cabinet scandal exposed by Okujeto Ablakwa, the pending parliamentary probe into the cathedral affair and so on and so on. All these, and we know that he has a penchant for playing this diversionary tactics. I wonder, where is the justification for his claim that the University of Ghana should have its name changed? The very idea of changing the name of the University of Ghana is preposterous. And it becomes even unacceptable, more unacceptable, when it is being proposed to name it after DANQUAH, J.B. DANQUAH. He was not a patriot. He served the interests of the CIA. In the overthrow of Kwame Nkrumah, the only true nationalist, the only progressive leader that this nation has ever had. Look at the short term of Nkrumah's administration in Ghana and the extent of his achievements. Some of it still live with us today, very useful to us. I don't have to name them. They are legendary. They are scattered all over the country. And yet, through the connivance of J.B. DANQUAH and others, he was overthrown to the detriment of Ghana. And you want us to name the primary University of Ghana after your uncle. As I said, it's delusional. It's a self-glorifier. Always plagiarizing. Always claiming credit where he does not deserve to have credit. That is the person who advances mediocrity to the level of greatness. Rhetorics. That's what I call it. Rhetorics. Useless rhetorics. How is he going to get past the opinion of civil society in terms of this proposal to name the University of Ghana after DANQUAH? You don't need even a political opposition to oppose you. The whole of Ghana will rise up against him. You better watch it where he's stepping. I'm not an luminous of Legon because I never schooled in Ghana. But I hold that institution in high esteem. The name should remain as it is. Don't go and tamper with it.
So, as far as you're concerned, University of Ghana should remain the University of Ghana.
Of Ghana.
Nothing more.
Period.
Doc, before I let you go, I just wanted to take your view on this. I know you have certainly been monitoring the minorities' position on this matter of the Bank of Ghana. First of all, do you agree with your party?
100%. Addison is guilty of gross dereliction of duty and constitutional duty as that. What I want the minority to do, and the NDC party as well, is to sit down and do a research and presentation of all the policies and achievement claims of the NPP, against which put the cost and then the money that this regime has received, so that we do a balance sheet and see how national resources have been wasted, wantonly wasted, stolen, and so on. You should do this. It's an empirical exercise. It's not just a matter of rhetoric, going to radio stations and making contestant and competing claims. We started this, we did this, we did it. Do the research, line up or list all the policy achievements of this government, the cost of all these projects, and the monies that have come in terms of taxation, loans, and so on and so forth. And let's do a balance. Then we will see who is a competent manager of our economy and who is not.
So put what the MPP has done with the money they've gotten against what the NDC did with the money they got.
They don't even have to compare with the NDC. Forget about the NDC.
Okay.
Let us take the MPP administration on its own record. On its own record.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Professor Stephen Adai, I'm sure it's a name you know quite well.
Oh, he's a hypocrite. Please, I don't want to comment on that man. I don't know. He's a flip-flopper. He doesn't know what he's talking about most of the time. Forget him.
But he's insisting that those of you who are asking for the governor's removal are the ones who don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, well, whatever they say.
Well, Doc, before I let you go, do you fondly remember, I don't know if you remember the name Arabatego?
Yes, Araba.
Because this morning, the news you are getting is that she's pastor.
Oh. Oh. I used to call her Araba Reform. Oh. She's a vice chairman of the NDC now, isn't she?
Yes, she is. Well, I think a member of the executive committee, rather.
Yes, a member of the executive committee. When the Reform Party was formed, there were rumors that he has deserted NDC to Reform. And I used to tease her, but he always objected to the teasing. Oh. I hope it's not true.
I think it's been confirmed now that she's passed.
Oh, I can see tears welding in my eyes now. Oh, Senna. Mama man tells him that. Oh, look, my hand is even shaking. Oh, Araba. Oh. Hey, 2 weeks ago it was Sherry who passed away. Now it's Harbour NDC. We are losing our stalwart members. Oh, we thank God for small mercies. Senna. Anything else, Senna?
And sorry, I'm the bearer of bad news.
Oh, wow. I was bound to hear it anyway, if not from you, from another source. You are not the creator of the bad news. It's unfortunate. A shame. Oh. Ah.
Doc, thank you.
Thank you too for having me.
Have a good day.
You too. Bye.
Dr. Tony Edu is